Welcome to the Astro Lounge, a podcast that invites you to unwind, have a little fun, and engage in meaningful conversations with others in the astro community and beyond.
We're some astro babes turned astro besties who met at Astrology University. We believe in astrology that works with you and that your chart is completely special and unique. In this pod, we're going to have some fun with astro through games, discussions, special guests, and even more.
Hi, I'm Simona, a travel consultant turned astrologer. I now help people journey inward, serving as a guide towards deeper self-discovery, agency, and a more meaningful, wonder-filled life.
Hiya, I'm Kaia, an astrologer weaving the threads of my three passions together: theater, astrology, and witchcraft. All for the hopes of digging into these little cosmic winks for some doses of self-love and self-acceptance.
So sit back, relax, grab a cozy beverage,
and let's get cosmic in this Astro Lounge.
Hey, Kaia. How are you?
I don't know. How are you?
I feel the same way. I don't know. I'm hanging in. What a week. I don't know. It's been a week.
It has been a week. Yes. Simone and I were, we like to chit chat about current transits in the sky and sometimes like looking at our own personal ones. And you helped me to realize just like a small little transit going on called Pluto on my Saturn.
Just a tiny little transit that you're undergoing right now. Yes, good times.
Yes, good times, transformative times. I was catching someone up on life just felt hard this week, in so many different areas of life. And I'm just so happy, and I think this is fitting for our, as we'll get to soon, our lunar moon episode here. I'm so happy to be at home. And just in my own security here. I had my last day of work was yesterday for the year, work at a school. That's the day job. Yeah, so it's just kind of nice to be able to be here. And I was actually thinking, like, and I know we'll get to this, but I'm excited to get more in touch with my moon because she feels a little sad and bruised right now.
Well, your little moon. We will this through this podcast. We will nurture your moon in some
I love
way.
yes, yes.
We'll nurture your moon.
We'll see what that
I'm sorry you've had a hard week. I know it's
means. No.
been the energies, collectively speaking, are
Yeah.
crazy intense right now. And I know that sounds like, oh, everybody's saying the same thing.
I
Of
know.
course, there's a lot, but when they hit you in a very personal way, it's like
Yeah.
it's like so much bigger, right? And for
Yeah.
you, like all these big transits are hitting you in such a personal way. It's like, yeah, it's going to be hard,
It's gonna be hard. And it's such an interesting way to think about your chart where you're like, yeah, I mean, maybe this seems like a duh, whatever. Like you look at your chart and the transits, but really like I think maybe the way we like to look at our charts, like feeling embodied with it. Like I was like, oh, who's really talking this week? Which areas of my chart really feel alive? Like I really felt the Mars in Cancer. I felt the 10th house hardcore. My Libra rising feels a little like, like this is how I like to do things. And yeah, the moon in Leo's just fucking bruised. So all these guys were just kind of it's interesting. And then like other parts of the chart, I'm sure speaking as well, but it feels like they're kind of like taking maybe a little back seat right now. So I
It
don't know.
is so interesting to see, like, through life experience, just what's lighting up in the moment. Even if you're not, if, Kai and I always talk about how there's moments that we're so aware of every single transit going on. And then there's times like, wait, what's going on right now? Because, you look at it and then it's out of sight, out of mind, and then you're living life, right? You're not just constantly
Exactly.
like looking at the transits
No.
and you're experiencing things. You're like, what's happening? Oh, yes. And even
Yes.
without looking, you can feel that archetypal quality. Like, well, I'm feeling these kind of ways. Oh, this part of my chart's lighting up. This is
Yeah.
so fascinating. It
You
really is.
know,
Even when it's difficult,
even when it's difficult, at least it does add that like I think Astro helps give that objective detachment and a in a healthy way that feels kind of Aquarian and Virgo fusion, where it's like you still care and everything, but you're able to apply some objectivity, right? To detach, to apply detachment a little bit. And astrology can be that tool while still feeling personal and soulful, you know?
Yes.
Oh,
Absolutely, and it can give us perspective and like, "Oh, yeah, it's a Saturn moment," or whatever it is, and like, "Okay, well, what would be the constructive way to work with this?" Like, we can kind
yeah,
of intuit just with our life experience, "Oh, what's a constructive way?" But
what's
thinking of it
okay.
archetypally and pulled back, like you said, can go thinking of it like, "Oh, what would Saturn ask of this moment?" And what would the because Saturn
Yeah.
rewards by doing A, B, or C, or what would Jupiter be asking of this moment? And it can be really helpful looking at it that way, pulling back almost allows you to go even deeper in, it's just interesting, so yeah.
Can I don't mean to put you on the spot here because I did not ask you this before we started the pod
It's
together.
alright, that's what this is for,
Um,
you can put me on the spot,
okay. I'm
anything
leaning in.
alright,
Hello.
I'm
Would you
ready.
I love your brain and your intellect. What would
Oh
like
god.
oh my
Pretty
god.
scared, no.
What might you suggest to obviously, you know me well in my chart, but, like, Pluto on my Saturn, like, what is a takeaway you might, surmise?
Well, I'm thinking that it feels like a moment where this is a moment to step into your authority. Maybe your relationship to
Mhm.
authority might be undergoing some kind of deep transformation. You might, because it sounds like
Mhm.
from what we were talking about
Yeah.
off this call too,
Yeah.
that there's so much going on that's kind of you're in a position of authority in this
Yeah, yeah.
situation. I don't want to say too much.
No, you're good.
And that is creating some other situations that are challenging. And knowing you and you're such a lovely person and that Libra rising, and you want everyone to have harmonious interactions. And when that isn't
Right.
happening, it can be difficult to step into that Saturn and be in that place where it's like, well, wait a minute, I am in a position. So maybe that's part of the story. I don't know. Does that
It
feel
is.
like
That thank you. I need it like it's like my brain couldn't get to the interpretation, which is or a takeaway of, like, any kind, like, I know it, but I was like, "Oh, I'm not able to get there, so thank you for just being able to, like"
personal? It's
you know?
hard.
And that
It's re
happens. It
Yeah.
it really does, right? Like, in our own chart, our own transits, like, sometimes you can't quite see clearly. So thank you. That's, like, right on point. And I'm like, "Oh, right. It is Pluto." So I'm like, first of all, it doesn't necessarily feel comfortable. It's deep rooted. It digs stuff up, and it's right next to Saturn. That's like, yeah. Mhm.
Eh yeah, it's, like,
Yeah.
probably kicking up I'm wondering if it's kicking up just stuff even like old feelings and things that are
Oh,
just
yeah.
like, almost overpowering. Those feelings that can come
Yes,
up with Pluto transit, you're like, "Whoa," like, this
it
what I
does.
feel was interesting that both Pluto and Saturn kinda speak to control in a way, and Pluto
Mm.
sometimes experiences that are out of our control, but yet it's like, how can we
Yeah.
not necessarily be in control, but just kind of face things squarely and step into what that authority and allow what we can't control to be what it
Yeah.
is, but also hone in on what we have agency over. I don't know. It's like,
Yes. That's beautiful. Thank
now
you.
I'm going all over the place, but yeah,
Thank you.
it's just
No.
difficult time. There's no question about it.
Yeah, it's so yeah, and it's just I hope this gives validation maybe to other folks if that wow, I know how to talk. I hope that, I mean, I should take my own advice, but that's okay. Like, I told Simona, I was like, "I usually like to keep track of my transits, but of course there are months that we fall off." So, like, for May, I was not in tune with the sky, and I feel that, like, oh, and I'm trying not to beat myself up for it, but I will be what I if I miss a month or check in time, I do go back over and just take notes, and that is still incredibly helpful. So, even though I'm not quite buying it myself yet, give yourself permission. I'll be a hypocrite to, if you miss a chunk of time and you're really in the astrology and you like to keep track of the transits, it is hard to keep up with, and it feels really good when you're doing it, but when you're out of
Yes.
step with it, so that's always a hard thing to readjust with.
Absolutely, and I think one of the things that we are trying to really express in this podcast is to, be vulnerable, be ourselves, and cut ourselves a little break because we can be really hard on ourselves, and that extends out to
Yeah.
anyone that's listening. There are times that you can go in and out of like you can be so immersed in the astrology, you want to stay on top of everything, but then life happens.
It does.
Living life is the
Yeah.
most important thing. So,
Yeah,
you know,
there's that.
there's something magical, I think, sometimes not being super aware, like
Yeah.
knowing what's going on and then letting it go and just allowing those archetypes that we have in just to feel them and not necessarily think about them from like from knowing what the transits are, but while you're experiencing them, allow things to arise and then go, oh, I can feel the archetypes. I
Yeah.
don't need to see what they are, and then look back or look at what's going on to validate that experience. But there's something so beautiful just allowing it to emerge
Yeah.
and be and recognize it from just what's happening, you know?
I'm laughing because, well, first of all, thank you for being my personal astrologer today, as
Oh,
right?
hey, I need practice to be on the spot. I love it. Like, I like to, like, plan things and look at things. So when I'm on the
Yeah.
spot, it's good practice because it's
Well,
not my strong
thank
suit,
you.
so thank you for
Well,
doing that.
and, like, also, although the things that you were just saying, I'm like, "I know," but sometimes you just need to hear them again, and when that was really helpful because I think it was also I was like, "Oh, do I need to let go of a little bit of control of knowing?" Boo.
Going back to that theme, and I say it out loud
Got
because I struggle with that too. Because I get really hard on myself. I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm not on top of all these things, and I should be, and I'm an astrologer, and how can I not know today what's in the sky exactly?" Like,
I know.
we do that, but
Yeah.
we gotta cut ourselves a little bit of slack and be humans, you know?
I guess. Yeah, and, like, maybe and in a weird way, I do believe there's always kind of, like, a reason or at least a meaning, whatever,
Yes.
on many deeper levels, but when you're not "on top of it," quote, unquote, I don't like saying that, but whatever, yeah, maybe there is kind of a reason for that, like, you're not able to kinda quite see it or understand it in the time, and so, when I look back through May and then, like, this first week of June too, it'll be really interesting to explore that, you know?
Yes.
So, thank you for
Yes.
thanks for affirming me and hearing me.
You've been affirming me my whole our whole friendship, so like together. So, yes, no, and what you said is really profound. Like, if we go through these moments where we're just in life and other stuff is falling
Yeah,
to the wayside, looking back is really profound because it's probably a reason, like you said, why we
yeah,
haven't been able to do A, B, or C.
right.
That's more real than
That's
just
for
the
real.
astrology on its own, you know? That's more
That's so
real.
true.
Actually
That's so
happened.
true. Yeah. Well, thank you, God. I was like, "Do you wanna do a little chart interpretation for me?" How coy.
Well, we should be fun to get some people's charts on here
I
and do
would
some on the spot interpretation or have some people on and do their it'd be fun. Be a
um,
good
yeah, we
way
definitely
of
need to do
doing
that. I
that.
was
Yeah.
also, right, thinking we should have maybe listeners, like, throw in some questions about like, current transits going
Yes.
on, placements.
Yes.
We have many things.
We have
And
many things we wanna do. Yes,
many
this is
things.
just the beginning.
What about you? How are you? Any placements that are coming alive or that you're like,
Well,
"Going?"
I will say there's a couple of transits, for example, Uranus having moved into Gemini, recently has really I know I mentioned this probably many times before, but my nervous system is whacked.
Mm,
It's like I'm already a very intense person, and I already have quite a bit of inner anxiety. So Uranus moving into Gemini, a very like a mutable air sign, which is like
yeah.
that like Uranus is the lightning bolt. It's like it's like intense electricity, right? And then in a very dynamic air sign, it's a lot. So I've been having a hard time regulating that. I've been
Yeah.
more amped up than usual. More my nervous system is really amped up.
Mm,
And I really feel that Saturn Neptune in Aries very much so in like both qualities. It's like this sense of I'm keep trying to move forward in certain things, but everything is taking a little bit longer, especially like in my area of work
yeah.
and like trying to really get
Oh,
clear
right.
about what's
6 out.
important and my date like my seasonal job ended as well and I'm trying to make some changes and I'm trying to figure out what that is, but it's
Yeah.
really and get really clear because Saturn wants us to get very clear about what really matters. And a lot of times
Yeah.
that comes with these opportunities that you have to make choices and like, is this the right choice? It feels like a weighty moment, but at the same time, Neptune's in that same close by that's making everything a little bit confusing and hard to like, I don't know what's next. It's this, and this is collectively, we just moved into this very new dynamic moment. And it's like a new epoch, but we're
Yeah.
at the
Yeah, it really is.
beginning. So things are uncertain, and so we're all kinda swimming in this uncertainty, and so I'm feeling
Yeah.
it very acutely. So there's a lot of that going on, so yeah.
And remind me, is Gemini your 8th house?
Gemini is my 8th house, yes,
Right.
so there's a lot of,
Okay. Okay.
coming up in that too, just the 8th house, you probably are more intimate with it having the sun there. I don't have any
And
placements there, but
I just
Mercury's
had Uranus there in the 8th.
yeah, you just
That's why
had
I
it
moved
there,
out
so
of
you
it.
experienced it. So
Mhm,
things it's
mhm.
a among other things, a house that's, like, very deeply psychological,
Yeah,
so it's like, I'm thinking, maybe it's a good time to go I have gone to counseling and gone in and out of that, and this could be a time, and you mentioned when that was a time for you, and I think maybe getting into that and just at least to find ways to calm my nervous system and also to get
absolutely.
talk about some things that have been coming up, so it's really
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder
Yeah.
yeah, over the next was it 7, 8 years? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, yeah, if that therapy route might come up, if, like, ways of regulating might come up that actually feel good for you, you know?
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
that Gemini energy is it's buzzy.
Well, it's very buzzy, and I'm already like, I think, like I said, I'm already very buzzy on the inside and very intense. So it's like, "All right, we gotta figure something out here." So that's
Mhm.
where I'm at, but
Yeah.
I feel very good today, and I'm very
Yeah,
happy that we're doing an episode on the moon. That's
me
really
too.
I love talking about we love talking about all the planets, but
Definitely.
I love the moon, and recently we did an episode with our friends, Isabella Cianciolo and Rachel Hicks on the lunar phases in the birth chart. But
Mhm.
today we're going to talk specifically about the moon itself as an
Yeah.
archetype, its significance, and we're going to play around with it in different placements. We're not going to go
Yeah.
through every placement, but we're going to do our astro dice that we like to do and roll a couple of placements and kind of speak to them.
I love that. Yes. I know, I you know, wow, I could talk. Now that's the second time I've said that today. Um, what was I gonna say? Oh, I'm just, in a weird way, feeling, like, oddly in a weird way, oddly vulnerable to go into the depths of the moon, and I'm really glad that somehow we're tuned in always archetypally and energetically. Because I was like, "Oh, it's been a fucking week, but I also feel safe and secure being at home, being with one of my besties, like, really and, like, we'll get into this, but, like, already I'm feeling that kind of, like, soothing and nurturing that the moon placement can show, so, I don't know, I guess I just needed to say that.
Oh, me too, and I feel at home with you, and when we do these podcasts, like, I'm always a little bit nervous right before going, right?
Yeah.
But then as we start talking, it feels like coming home, and that's a
It
very lunar
does. That's
experience.
beautiful.
It feels and I'm glad that we're gonna have this discussion today. I think we both need it.
We need
So,
it. And you know what
yeah.
we both just said? Need.
Need, which
Oh,
is a lunar word. Good call out. Yes,
literally.
the
I mean, I
need.
guess
Yeah.
we could start with just some we don't always start this way, but some keywords are
Yes.
I find they're really helpful to especially if you're stuck and you're like, "Fuck, how do I get into this placement and describe this energy?" Need, want, yearning, well, maybe want a little less, but, like, need, yearning, home, security, food, comfort,
Yes. Those
emotion.
things, yes, emotions, feelings. It's really interesting, when I was first learning about the moon and people talk about it as your emotions or your feelings, right?
Yeah.
It was a little bit elusive, just kind of broadly speaking
Oh,
from
yeah.
that way. But
Yeah.
remember like that study that we learned, like sometimes the moon comes out when we are
Yeah.
feeling tired, or I mean, the moon is, I don't think it only comes out at these times, but your moon, you can really feel your moon, I think. And this is like, to me, it like was really illuminating to hear it said this way. um, you really know and feel your mood when you're tired, you're sick, you're under the weather, you're not your best, it comes out and it kind of like screams out at you like what you need to that response, because it's our natural response to life, our emotional response. So what comes up in those moments and how we soothe ourselves speaks to
Yeah.
our moon placement as well.
Yes. When I was prepping for today's episode, and that was interesting, I think maybe you agreed with me, I did a little less prep than for the sun. The sun felt a little bit more like
Yes.
say direct, but well, actually kinda, yeah, and, like, because the sun has been a hard thing for me to always get into. The moon, I have my notes, of course, I looked at them, um, but oh, I just lost my thought, but that's okay. Oh, no, it came back, thank you. I noticed myself, like, I had some notes already on it, but then I was just, like, briefly looking through, like, The Luminaries by Liz Green and Howard Sportis.
Brilliant book. Shout out.
brilliant, especially on these luminaries, the sun and the moon,
Yes.
and just writing actually some more, like, questions, because in an interesting way, like, questions seem to kinda help get into the moon sign. You could say that about a lot of the placements, but, like,
I agree.
yeah, right? Like, "What do you
Yes, it's
need?" Yes.
yes. Beautiful. What do you need? Yeah, all those kinds of things. And yeah, we did it. Like I did do a little bit less prep on the moon. There's something about it feeling familiar. There's like almost like as
Yeah,
you start to talk about it, it's like it feels because familiar is also another word with the moon, so it does make sense. I did the same thing. The sun felt a little bit more like, oh, I just want to go back. We're
yeah,
talking about these things all the time, but you and
right.
I are both, we like to have our notes. We like to be
Yeah,
prepared,
yeah.
but there's something with this. I'm like, let's just flow. Let's just see what
Hello.
happens.
And I mean, with that, I obviously will cover both of these, but I'm feeling like we could either go in to start off with like the self care nourishment route or the kind of cyclical nature of the moon. What are you feeling?
Oh, yeah, well, we'll go definitely cover both. Yes,
Yeah.
the phases, like the way how it can be moody, there's a
Yeah.
reason for that, right? But yeah, I like where we're going with starting off with some keywords just to get the sense of like
Yeah.
that quality and the significance. Yeah, we can keep going down that route and see how it continues to evolve.
I like it. I'll leave it. Um, yeah, I think, maybe like I like that we did the lunar phases episode actually before we did this one because the lunar phase was a really good way of showing this cyclical. I think cyclical, round, circular, we get into like the archetypal feminine. Of course, there's so many stories and myths and characters associated with the moon. And as I was reading just a little bit last night, actually, there was one thing that really clicked with me that Liz Green said something about, yeah, how like these different phases of the moon are associated with so many different kinds of myth or whatnot. And I thought that just felt very poignant because every night, like every day, like the moon is a different shape or a different size. Like it moves so quickly. And like
Yes,
the fact that, right, like we can see it and it like I think what I keep having to remind myself when we were learning about it is that it is so familiar. It is actually of the mundane, and like
yes.
everyday life and habits and routines. And I'm like, oh, duh. Like, no wonder it's associated with like emotions and moods because those are ever constant and changing. It's
The
literally everything.
tide. It's constantly, yeah, it's also like this kind of like yes, and, now I was thinking something and it slipped right out, but
Yep.
I was like, had something on the tip of my tongue, but yeah, it's always with us, and
Yeah.
I think it's a very probably, the ascendant is probably the most personal part of our chart, but the moon is so personal in terms of the archetype. You think
Oh,
of it, it's like orbiting Earth while we're orbiting the sun, right? It's
yeah.
really specifically 'cause all the planets are dancing with the sun, but the moon is really specific to Earth. Like there's something, it's so intimate and it's with us all the
Oh,
time. And so like I like to also think of the moon holding, like witnessing us and holding our memories and the moon memories. It's that's another thing the moon's associated with is
yes.
not memory like in the mercurial sense of the word. It's not like memorizing things, but the memories from childhood, from our past that create the habits that we now have and the way we perceive life. It's so fundamental. And it's like the memories can be foggy and they change very like lunar in quality, but they hold a feeling. There's an essence that
Yeah.
quality. And it's just with us. And these are some thoughts that are coming to mind.
I'm so glad you brought up that because I was gonna like, oh, but when you're like, oh, I know I want to chat about like Mercury memory and Moon memory, and I think that's a really cool way to get into the Moon. So I think maybe we could explore there even more because when you were speaking, I'm like, oh, that's such a yes, and like in ancient astrology, traditional astrology, excuse me, the Moon too was remind me, one of the planets that was usually actually used for, like, movement and travel and writing and whatnot, like, that was actually big
Yes, I
significant.
am not as well versed with traditional, but
Right.
there extra because yes, I know what you're speaking to.
Yeah.
I recall learning that as well. Yes. I can't
Yeah.
say very much about it because again, I'm not
Right.
well versed
Same. Not
traditional, but
expert there.
it is
Yeah.
interesting because there is that movement and it's also so another way that people look at the moon is the public,
Ah,
the public
yeah.
feeling on a collective sense, if we're looking at a chart collectively speaking versus like our birth chart, but like on a mundane
Yeah.
level, the moon can have to do with that public sentiment, the feeling of the collective or the public. Yeah.
Yeah, oh my god, I totally forgot about that, yeah. That's so interesting, those things just don't get a as highlighted that much with the moon, but I really when you were speaking about, like, yeah, the difference kinda between, like, a mercurial memory or a lunar memory, and then that takes me over to Cancer, the sign ruled by the moon, and the whole idea, how people say how it is, that, water holds, like, memory, right? Like
Yes.
excuse me.
The feeling, the memories. Yes. Yes. You
Excuse me, I'm
okay?
getting so choked up. No, I lost my voice earlier this week, like, literally, so I'm dealing with the ramifications, so I might be a little coffee and little, throughout, but yeah, that just came to mind, and, like, I'm sure maybe someone is out there who doesn't like the moon. I have never once in my life heard anyone who's like, "Ugh, the moon." You know what I
That
mean?
I can talk about it? No, well, also, I think it's accessible. To your point, we were talking about the lunar phases. I mean, it's out in
Yeah,
the night sky, we can see it. It's not so it's there with us all the time.
every
It's
time.
captivated our imagination, like, throughout
Yes,
time.
yes.
It's like people have looked at the moon from the beginning of time, like, that was there,
Beginning
so it's
time.
so fundamental, and it's just it carries so much. It's just so
Yeah,
evocative for us of
it
so many
is.
things, so it's hard to be like, "I don't like them." I mean, we of
No.
course, depending on our relationship with mother, we might not like aspects of our own moon
Right.
placement or how we experience nurturing and, depending if we were raised in an environment where we were nurtured and we felt safe, that's not everybody's experience, so we might have different relationship to our moon, but the moon itself, like, as
Moon
an archetype,
itself.
nobody's like well, I don't wanna say nobody, but most people aren't like,
Right.
"Eh, yuck, the moon," you know?
At least in my personal experience so far, no one's ever been like, "Oh god, I hate the way the moon looks," or "I hate the shape of the moon." Like, I've never heard that, and again, we'll leave space for that, I guess, but, like, it just makes me think of, like, people are always, like, I'm someone who's obsessed with the moon, like, I love drawing the moon, I love moon jewelry, blah, 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 like, and I just have so many people who love it or love looking at the
Yes,
moon. There's just so many artworks and depictions and stories and songs and poetry. So,
yes.
it almost feels like maybe more so than any other planetary body. I don't wanna say that,
Right.
but it kind of feels like that. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
I think so, and I think because there's so many rituals throughout time
Yeah,
that are timed with the rhythms of the moon. I mean, the new moon ceremonies and the full moon ce I mean, this is just in the
yeah,
modern time, even throughout time, that was so embedded in
so true.
society, like the rhythms of it. So,
Yeah,
yes, 100%. It's
I
like,
know.
again, it's captivated the imagination of people
Well,
forever, you know?
and what I like about that too is, like, I think it's kind of an invitation to be fascinated by the mundane, the everyday. Mundane
Yes.
has like,
Such
I
a bad
I
connotation. I
know,
hate that word because
I
it sounds like
know. It's like
ordinary.
mundane. Yeah.
I know, but
Mundane.
the magic is in the mundane,
It is.
It's here. The
It
magic
is.
is here.
And we're all obsessed with the moon, like, we
Yes.
are, hello, like, so many people are, I've got it tattooed on my body, like, there's something about that, and I'm like and as you were saying, it's so familiar, it's right there, we've been studying it for eons, so, I don't know, maybe that's a nice little reminder just to be fascinated by the imaginary qualities of the moon, while it's also
Yes.
simultaneously being a practical tool.
I think that what you said there is so profound because we always think about being like, if we think of the terms magic or all this that we
Yeah,
think out there or something that's but
yeah,
it's really exists right here. We have access to the beauty, the mystery, it's all here, and the moon is just a
literally.
beautiful visual of that,
Yeah,
because we can't see all the other planets very clearly at
no,
any given I mean, we can sometimes, but, like,
we
given depending where they are, you have to look a certain way, but the moon is
do,
just
yeah,
it's ever present, even when it's dark.
literally.
Its
So
essence is
part and I
is
think
there.
oh, and I think there's something and maybe this, like, well, maybe it does tie to the lunar thing, like, it's coming back.
Yes. Oh,
Like,
even in the darkest, there's
oh,
gonna be a new it's gonna be born
yeah,
again. Yes,
like,
and that's
I sorry, I was like, "Oh, I got
no,
emotional,
I love it. I
like,
love that. Yeah, we're very into this.
we're very
Yeah.
into this, sorry, we got fire moon, so we're like, "Ah!"
Fire beats are
But
very fired up right now.
yes, yes. Like, I'm so grateful, first of all, to have a home first, but I'm even further grateful to have a backyard, and then I'm even more grateful because I get to witness the waxing, literally all the waxing phases of the moon in my backyard, and like sometimes I get sad when I start to not see it as much, but then I'm like, oh wait, yeah, she's coming back next month. Like I like
Yes.
that, like that routine, the rhythm, and like yeah, and, I am someone who practices witchcraft and whatnot, and, like, that is a huge, like, there's so much with the witches and the moon, a lot of people work with the full moon. I've come to also learn how to work with the new moon or, like, different phases, and I like having astrology as this information, for my craft, and being like, "Oh, maybe there's actually something I could do if I'm wanting to, like, build action or potential or momentum in the waxing phases, or if I'm needing to do something like a decompression or something maybe in the waning or whatnot, because yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, yes, and speaking of, we had that electional astrology course that we took on
Yeah.
timing, and I know neither of us are electional
Mhm.
astrologers, but the idea that the moon placement was so important where it was in a cycle, what it was because it's
Yeah.
kind of bringing everything in, it's the embodiment of everything else in a sense, it's
Yeah.
like and so that was, like, such a focus, so you were saying about when to do things, yeah, the moon is very tied into that, and um, it triggers other transits its place, so if we're experiencing,
Yeah.
like you were saying, having this Pluto-Saturn transit right now, personally, like, every time the moon clicks on that, it's probably illuminated more, brought to
Oh
light,
my god.
so it's really, like,
Yeah.
very activating as well of
Yeah.
everything else that's going on, so but now I feel like I could go all over the place and, like
No, I like that we're approaching the moon from this angle because I know we'll get to the other stuff too, but I feel like maybe this isn't the stuff I always hear as much about. I mean, with astrologers, but yeah. But like, but when you said that, like, yeah, moon, like I have the Channy app, and the other day it was like moon is conjunct Pluto, and now I'm like, oh my god, and that was triggering the Pluto conjunct the Saturn, and I felt
Yes,
it. I was like, oh
yes,
thank God, like that's a little
yes,
affirming.
like, "Ah," yeah,
Mhm.
yes.
Mhm. God, yeah, the moon it is fascinating, and I feel like I can never get, like, enough like, I just wanna keep looking at it and looking at it when I see it, I'm always like,
Yeah, it's
"Where is it? Where's the
mesmerizing.
moon?"
Yes, totally.
Can I tell a
Mesmerizing.
can I tell a funny story that's a little embarrassing?
Yes, tell a funny story, please. I
Okay,
wanna
shout
hear
out
it.
to one of my besties, Jaquel. She and I were hanging out. I live, I won't say exactly where, um, near a park, and we were this really cool park and, like, looking at the moon, and I was like and I looked away and I was like, "Oh my god, it's so beautiful, like, look at this," and that was, like, going on, and she was like, "Yeah, that's a street light."
I love that. I could see myself doing that too, like, "Look at the glow, it's so
Yeah,
gorgeous."
and I was like, "Oh, fuck." And then I
That's how
don't
much
think
you wanted to see the moon.
that's
That's
how
how much
much,
you
and
love
then
it.
I realized I don't think the moon was really even out, and, I have made that mistake a few other times too, so I just needed to vent.
Hallucinating because you want it to be there, right?
I just wanted it
I
the
love it.
best.
I love it, I love it.
So I
Well,
guess always actually check it's not a street lamp, but if it is,
yes.
that's okay too.
Yeah, if it is, hey, if it's beautiful street lamp, great. Yeah, so it's the moon there's so many directions we could go with it, but maybe
I know.
we should we talk a little bit about it in it, like, from a birth chart perspective and
Yeah,
what people can kind of think about in their own chart when they're
yeah,
looking at their moon and,
let's do that.
again, we'll get into some placements, maybe, like, roll the dice in a sign and in a house,
Yep,
but just to think about, like, really what the moon represents. We kinda touched on some keywords,
mhm,
security, nurturing, but we can explore that a little bit deeper, thinking also of how the moon can reflect the relationship we had with our mother, not necessarily our like, who our mother is, but how we experienced our mother and how we
yeah.
experienced nurturing.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. Yeah, let's do that because I think it's really helpful to, as I was saying earlier, like there is like a practical mundane side of the moon. In astrology, it can be incredibly useful because for such an emotional placement, it's really helpful to know what can help in those times of emotional distress.
Absolutely, and I think, when we think of, like, synastry or relationships, right? A relationship you're in, I think more than even the sun sign, I think the moon sign is incredibly important because that speaks
Yeah.
to our habits, our kind of our tendencies, our what we need, our needs like that. And so if we have to understand each other's moon placement in a or any like people that we're in relationship with, their moon, their needs,
Yeah.
especially if you're living and or cohabitating with someone, is essential
Mhm.
because when that gets thrown off, the moon can really create issues if we don't understand the need or each other's needs at that kind of everyday security level.
Exactly, and to become aware of your own needs because I think what learning about the moon and its placement, it helped me realize, "Oh, maybe this isn't as nourishing as I thought, and actually maybe I need more of this," and I didn't realize that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so yeah, when you look at the moon placement in your chart, you look at the sign that it's in and the house that it's in, and the sign that it's in is going to give some information, and you probably already know this about yourself, but it's just fun to look at it through the suns. The kinds of things you are going to need or that you really need to take care of yourself in those moments. And so let's did you should we talk a little bit about our just to ground it, kind
Yeah,
of our
yeah, that sounds great.
so people can kind of have an idea of how to think about it. So
I like it 'cause same element, but different signs. So, yeah,
yeah,
that's good.
yeah, yeah,
There we go.
perfect. And
Mhm.
different houses.
And different houses. Okay, yeah, that's a good starting off point, yes. Yes.
Cool.
As a Leo
Would you
moon.
like to go first?
Oh,
Put you
no.
on the spot this time?
Yes, okay, I know, I had to think about this one, duh, and I'll start actually off with what gets hurt, I think, because in a weird way, I think that helps me get into this placement. I pride is a thing with Leo energy, and that's a thing. I, I have, and I notice it was really helpful to, like, realize that association and realize when my pride feels knocked down and, like, why that's so hurtful or, like, yeah, the sense of that self and pride just being like, "Ugh," like, feeling, like, obliterated or kicked down can be very, very, emotionally blah for the Leo moon, and I was like, "How does this help get nourished?" Because I think with Leo placements, and Leo placements maybe agree, like, you're kind of scared to say that you wanna be seen or, like, have applause or have recognition because, there's such negative associations with that. But also that it is something that is needed. There is some kind of a validation or a performance of some kind, that can be whatever it is, some kind of platform of which to feed the Leo fire. So, also admitting that is also having to not be so stuck in my own pride. It's a whole thing. Um so my I'm very lucky because my moon in Leo can get a lot of nourishment from being in the 11th house. And so friends, communities, theater has been such a big piece of my life. And excuse me, sorry. Um yeah, I find theater will be always something I'm working on, and it feels very different from my solar journey, which is the sun in the 8th, where it's like cultivating astrology and the cult and witchcraft, and like that feels very solar. And then, interestingly enough, the theater feels so lunar because it feeds me up, it feeds up my soul. I'm still putting like work into it, but it's different. It's different than the work I'm putting into this area of life. It's just there, and I don't want to be like because I'm so amazing. But I
No,
do feel I will
yeah,
say I
no,
feel proud of my work, right, you know?
good. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and that feels good and nourishing and uplifting. It's so that's one there are other ways too, but that is a literal manifestation.
Oh, that's so on point with you being with an actress. It's such a
Yeah.
strong and like I would imagine. I know you do improv with also
Yeah.
sometimes with the same people, and there's something with the 11th house in that, with like kind of the troupe, the acting.
Yeah.
You
Aw.
all showing up in that way. I
Yeah.
wonder, have you ever done something that's really personal, like, the theater itself and putting expressing yourself on stage and having that reciprocity from the audience, I'm sure is very nourishing to the moon.
Yeah.
Ha have you ever had a situation where you had to, like, say maybe a little bit more drawing from personal experience, and how did that feel for you? Because I know the true there's that vulnerability with
Yeah.
Leo to express yourself authentically, and when you're performing or saying something that's even more here, how does that feel for you?
Mm.
Do you feel
That's
safe?
yeah, I know. I got to I've learned that I don't actually like doing, like, my own work, writing my own work or, like, one woman shows, which could also be a manifestation of Leo moon. And I got the chance to do that in this program where we had to, like, write a piece and then it was a solo show. And I was like, "Okay, this is good work for, like, trying to write, and express." And I'm glad I did it, but it didn't actually feel as nurturing as I thought, but I also wonder if that's because a little bit of, like, "Ooh, see me but don't know me," which could be a bit
So
of Leo.
interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's interesting because it's it's square your sun?
Yeah.
Is it square?
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
is
yeah.
in the 8th house, so that's
Yeah.
really interesting, like,
Yeah.
there's that visible, and then the sun is in a much more private kind of
Mhm.
also, so there's that kind of, interplay there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's through other people's, like, texts and whatnot that because I still am struggling with the, like, if I put out my own work or I think I've told you I've written some, like, moon love stories, and I
Yes.
really like them, but I'm still struggling with the, like, "Oh, people will think this is fucking stupid." You know what I mean? Like, to be quite honest. So I'm like, "Oh god," they'll be like, "Oh, that's the moon and Leo stuff, like, "Oh, people are gonna think I'm so, boastful and, like, overconfident," or, like, "Who the hell does she think she is?" That kinda stuff.
All those
Okay.
things that people
Oh,
attach,
yes.
unfortunately, attached to it, like, all the signs have something that's, like, attached to it that isn't always, like,
Yeah.
or rarely the story, but
Oh,
what I
yeah.
find interesting is that it's the moon in Leo, not the sun, so I just wonder if that
Yeah.
extra layer of vulnerability because the moon can have that sense of, like, needing to feel safe and
Yeah.
there's a ready to put yourself out there and express yourself and perform to an audience is already a risk,
Yeah.
And
Well,
so there's that stereotype where Leo just
yeah,
goes out confidently and does
I
it, but
know.
oftentimes, I remember Tony teaching this way at the beginning, they're often throwing up first before they go on stage
Yeah.
because what's at stake is so big. It feels so big for
Yeah.
but the need, that desire for that exchange of energy, right? To give of
Yeah.
yourself, have that come back. But I would imagine with the moon, it's even more vulnerable.
It's even more vulnerable, and, yeah, I want to lean into it more because it's really scary, but, like, I want to, but then I get so, like, worked up, like, oh, no, no, that'll be too much light."
Too much. And then there's that fear of what will come back. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's interesting.
And then
Yeah.
another piece, and I wonder if this will be helpful for Leo moons. I don't know. I love watching. I love TV, and but I watch a lot of like shows over and over again, which that feels a little bit more Taurian, but maybe Leo. But I think something about entertainment and like that. There's that creative like self expression. Like love like stand up comedians, and I love like my comedy shows and just shows in general. And that's not a big like oh my god, you crazy way to nurture yourself. But I was like, "That feels a little like Leo in that, like, entertainment," and, like, there's, like, a feedback audience, like, I'm the audience there, but that is
Yeah.
a role too, So that's just another way I thought of it too.
Absolutely, the moon can hold because Leo can hold space for other people, and it's
Oh,
like even
god, yeah.
witnessing it, even in watching TV and witnessing it,
Yeah,
there is an exchange in a sense there, for
yeah,
sure, and I think Leo, the word play comes to mind too, so that's interesting
yeah,
you said comedy, and it's, like, fun and
yeah,
playful, makes you laugh, and there's
I
those
know.
kinds of things that are attached to it as well. And I was just thinking the groups that we did together when were leading the retreat, and then we have all that kind of play and those games that
That's
we
so
put together, that
true.
must really
Oh, yeah.
feel nurturing to
Duh.
your me feel. And
Yes.
I'm
Oh,
just thinking,
duh, that is what we do. A lot of our work is 11th Oh my god, yeah, and I love how, like, I feel nourished and lit up. That feels very Moon Leo 11th, yeah, and, like, this concept of play, I always for some reason, I'm always like, "Ugh," with, like, play, and my therapist is like, "I know you really don't like the inner child work." I'm like, "No, it's boring."
"Don't
And
make
I'm
me
like,
do it, don't make me do it." Yeah.
I know, and I work with there's a whole I got Saturn in the 5th, so there's that, but, like, I was like, "Oh, yeah, like, I can play more and that's okay." I don't know, I have such a weird, like, "Ugh, boring" thing about it,
Well, it all
but
depends on your definition
yeah.
of play too, because, like, it doesn't have to fit everybody else's definition, like, my dad's idea of play is, like, building something.
Yes, 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 yes,
You know
yes. There
you
we go.
know, So, maybe doing improv games is a form of or just
Yeah,
improv is a form of play for you, you know?
form of play, and I can get over myself and be like, "Yeah, I could do inner child work," 'cause I'm like, "Ugh." So I don't it's a
Yeah,
funny thing.
well, because there's an association when it's like it's inner child work, kind of
Yeah,
doesn't feel like play, you know?
yeah, yeah. My
But
god. But I will say I feel vulnerable now because I feel like I've taken up too much space about the moon and the
no, I wanted to hear. See, this is us. We do this, especially like the Libra part too. No, I thank you
yeah.
for sharing all of that.
I hope it's helpful in the way, like, we might approach moons and, like so Simone and I both have fire, and when you were talking about earlier, like, especially in synastry, I really feel like people are I see, like, close connections, sometimes they do share the same elements, not always, but,
Yes.
like, there is a knowingness with, like, similar moons, and, like, you and I just have always understood, like, the fire of one
Yep.
another, like, I think I also in order to be comfortable, maybe you can when you go to your Aries moon here, like, I get very uncomfortable, people aren't expressive,
I
I'm
know,
like,
like,
"Well."
"What, I'm too much because you feel like you're I know, I feel like, "Am I too much? Am I coming on too
Yeah,
strong? Because then people are just like this, and you're just
yeah,
and I wanna honor their
yeah,
place, but sometimes, like, I feel uncomfortable, like, with that
yeah,
too, or these kind when it's a very kind of still person, and not chill, but, like, still.
yeah, like, like,
When they're super chill, I feel like almost like, oh, they can hold like, they're not
yeah.
thrown off by all this fire, but there's a difference. There's kind of those more calm, quiet, more I don't know, I'm like, I'm coming I start to feel that moon like, "Ah!"
Oh,
discomfort.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, tell me more
Yeah.
about the moon in Aries.
Oh god. Yeah, so the moon in Aries
Mhm.
in the 6th house. So, for one, just my natural emotional response to life is go, go, go. Like when something
Mm.
happens and I have an emotional response, I get really hot. My face gets hot. I get sweaty. It's like immediate,
Oh,
like that kind of flush.
that immediate.
I want to take action right away. I want to make it better right away. I want to do something right away. And you know this. Like I had this one situation recently that something, triggered me emotionally, and I was like, I gotta make this call. I have to do this. I have to do this." And I called Kaia. I'm like, "What should I do?" And you were like, "Yeah, I think in this situation, I know it's gonna be really hard, but I think you should wait." Now you say wait to an moon in Aries, it's like hell. It's like,
Yeah.
because it's like I want it's almost like part of it, there's an impatience in me with myself, but a part of it is also just I wanna take action and fix the thing right away. I can't let it just but it was the right advice in that moment, and that's part of, my work is, um, that response can be positive in some ways. When I know something, I'll go after it. It's, like, immediate sometimes, but it
Yeah.
can also just get me into trouble as well. So that's kinda just my response. If the computer freezes, I'll start hitting all the buttons, and my husband's always like, "Why are you doing this? Just take." I can't tell you how many times I've heard, "Just take a beat," in my life. Just take a
Okay.
beat. But as far as how I nurture myself,
Yeah.
so the moon in Aries, it needs for me, the way I experience it, I need to move. I need to move.
Yeah, you do.
I have a very strong Mars, and Mars rules Aries. So in the 6th house, which is like daily routines, work, health and fitness, well, health and
Yeah,
wellness, I need to work out. I need to have that in my life on a daily, consistent basis.
yeah,
And when I'm not getting that and I'm doing too many other things and I'm not making the time to put into that, the moon acts up. And so I've kind of used this example in the past, but I have it opposite my sun in Libra. And so the Libra
mm.
part wants to be in connection with people, spend time with people, and if I am putting a lot of effort into that and like, "Oh, I don't need to work out today. I don't need to do these things today," and, day after my moon in Aries will act up, and if you don't
Yeah.
take care of your moon's needs, it'll shout at you and just screw you up. So it'll like and I'll get really I'll eventually, I'm like, I just have to, I can react, and so, like, I really need that daily something to that kind of, I gotta release the charge in some way because it's very charged. It's a very charged moon.
I know.
And then I think about in terms of, the 6th house has to do with work and like you were those kinds of things as well. while I like to collaborate very much, clearly, like, if I'm, like when I was in an office, for example, I wanted to help everybody, that's, again, the Libra nature, I
Yeah.
want everybody to be in harmony, but as far as doing my work, I like to do it on my own, and it's
Yeah.
just like, let me know what my tasks are, and then I can go for it, you know? So I like to kinda work independently, while also I like to collaborate, but, like, in the everyday tasks, just tell me
Mhm.
what I need to do, please don't micromanage me, just give me the stuff and let me do it. That's very that's how I feel good, you know? But I also wanna be of service, and that's another thing that's very 6th
Oh,
house, so
yeah.
there's a big need to take that initiative that I have, because it's a cardinal sign and there's a lot of initiative, and to use it
Yeah.
to do good in some way, to be of service with that, so, I've said a lot of things, but yeah.
I love that I just had a
Also
realization.
also Aries with how I just shot that all out there, I'm like, "Bada buck, bada buck,
I
bada
was
buck."
like, "And Moon Leo, love me, blah, 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 ba boom, yes, hello," and you're like, "So, blah, 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 blah." I was
I
like, "We're
totally
gonna
embodied my
talk about."
moon right
Well,
now.
here's the thing, it was clear, and it was direct, and it made sense, you know, and I appreciate it. There were, like, 3 key points I took away and 1 question. First of
Cool.
all, maybe I'll start with my question first, and then I'll go into the 3
Okay,
points.
okay, okay.
Um,
Alright.
I love that was awesome. I was like, "Oh, that was such a great explanation of your moon."
That
Damn.
was,
I was envious of how oh, no, the Liam I was envious of how
oh,
well
no.
so there you go. Um, do you they talk a lot, especially with fire moons, needing freedom and space, like a lot of freedom and space, like, and so Sag too, definitely Sag. Hello. Do you feel that? Do you feel
That I
that?
need a lot of freedom
Yeah.
and space. I do need a lot of,
Yeah,
yes, I
same,
do.
same.
I very much need that, I'm independent in a lot of ways, as much as I am relational, I am very independent, and I need to have that space to do the things like, again, it's interesting in the 6th house, I mean, again, we carry the planets with us wherever we go, but
Yeah,
just as far as, like, my day to day, I need to be able to just pick up and go when I need to go and just
yeah.
move, and if something is trying to hem me in or, like, hold me
Mhm.
back, I'm like I get very, like, impatient, like, "Just let me do
Yeah,
this." So, yes, I do very much need that.
okay.
Even within relationships, which it kinda depends where I am in my like, in my moment, right? Am I Libra-ing? Am I in
Yeah.
my sun or in my moon? But I very much need that space, yes.
Okay. Yeah, because that's, it's, like, just such a big thing, and, like, that's one way we could also always go about the moon things too, is to see them in the elements, and they'll differ then in the signs, but there is an elemental kind of baseline that I think, like, moon and similar elements sometimes just, like, instinctively understand one another. Like, I think
Yes.
our fire moons are like, "Oh, yeah, I get that. That makes sense to me." Or
Yeah.
it's just like, "Pff, I gotta go. I gotta do this, blah, blah, blah." And then the way my 3 points were I like how you first described how you started off like, "This is how I might respond instinctively and intuitively." So I think that's just a good way to think about how, like, if you're listening to this episode, how do you tend to, like, instinctively, intuitively, not how you would like to, how it actually comes out.
How do you actually respond when you
Right?
get something triggers you on an emotional level? Yeah.
Yes. And then I liked the second point, I think, was then you, like, talked about what you actually need and nourishment, and the third point, I think I forgot, but that's okay.
No, nice good job summing it up. Yes, all those things. I'm just
Yeah.
laughing to myself because I remember, I was at a workshop once and with people I didn't know, but they had gotten to know me for a couple days. This one
Yeah.
lady to me, she's like, "Do you have some Aries in your, chart?" "How do you know? What makes you say that?"
How
She's
would
like,
you
"'Cause you're
know?
always rushing." Like, "Oh my god, it's so true." I'm
Well,
always feel like I'm like, that's very Aries as well, like, rushing around, I'm in traffic, I'm
oh,
impatient,
totally. And
all those things.
well, I think what's interesting here, the differences with our moons, it's like that you're very cardinal moons. You know, I was thinking about what does a Cancer moon need? Very, it's different from Aries, except they're both making actions. Like I see this in my Cancer moon friends.
Yes.
Like, like a Cancer moon, I see people like, oh, I need to take the initiative, I need to take the drive, the action to create care, to care for the people, and like care for the people fiercely and protection.
Yes. Yes.
Crab claws, that's well, crab claws out, right? You know, and I'm like, "Ooh," and that's how those, like, modalities share, you know, the cardinal moons are I need some action. I need to like take a drive. The fixed moons are like, let me think about it forever. You know, it's like hello.
I
Um,
think you should sing this entire episode. I loved
yeah,
that. That
thank
you
you.
need to do more of that,
I
please.
think that would be great. What the world really needs right now. Astro musicals. Oh,
That would we are going to transition into doing, the Astro Law the podcast as a
yes.
musical. Yes.
Actually, yes. This has been the whole point.
You'll embrace your moon in Leo, we'll embrace our Jupiter in Leo,
I love
and
it.
yes.
I call it Leo, didn't you know? So do you want me to roll some dice or
Yeah, let's do some that sounds
yeah?
great, but I love that you were, honing in on the modality. I thought that was really great for people who are thinking because just one last little thing on that,
Yeah.
with the mode that the moon is in, the mode speaks to how we kinda solve problems, like, how
Yeah.
we approach them, so that's really great, like, how you respond. Cardinal, take action of some kind.
Yeah.
Fixity, maybe go in and, like, have to kind of think about it first or contemplate before being able to
Right?
approach it, and mutable, I gotta move around. I gotta
Yeah.
yeah, give this energy somewhere to go, and then I can tackle my
Oh,
issues, right?
yeah.
So just
Well,
that
like
was great how you did on that.
thank you. And, you know, and the 3rd fire sign, of course, the moon and Sag, my mom's got one, and there's a fire stuff, right? But unlike
Yeah,
Aries and Leo, I see the need to be to, like, move and to, like, like, do something else and, like, do you know, like yeah, the movement piece is really, really big for the mutable signs. It's Pisces, Gemini, Virgo. I was like, "Who else is it?" Yeah, so it's just very interesting to see those common threads. And
very
I know
much.
this sorry, I'm going off topic a little bit
No.
here, because I know there's also the childhood conditioning piece that we'd like to go on. So
Yes.
do you wanna do
Yeah,
dice first or
talk
condition?
on that. Let's talk on that briefly and
Okay.
on just kind of like, if we're thinking about the mother archetype too, how
Yeah.
that can be something to look at in the chart and aspects to the moon. Yeah, we can like touch upon that and
Mhm.
then we'll roll the dice. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
That sounds
great.
great. Yes.
Yes, and I'm glad that you clarified. It's not like because not everyone has a mom, but so it could be either your literal mom, biological mom, adopted mom, or it could be someone who played that maternal figure. It can be whoever. It doesn't have to be our, the sex that we originally think of it as.
Right.
We're
Who
talking about
nurtured or did not nurture you. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
That could be anybody in your life, but we're talking about the maternal lunar archetype. So just to clarify that, which is good. Um,
Archetypal mother. Yes.
archetypal mother, yes, and that remember that can be anybody, anything. Um, yeah, the moon can be so I mean, it's so sensitive, right? And so when you're like really doing some deep dive work, whatever the moon is whoever the moon is talking to in your chart can really help to illustrate and demonstrate some family stuff, to put it lightly, right? And that could be heavy, that could be not so heavy, that could be complex, and it's just really yeah, it's quite poignant, the moon contacts.
Quite poignant, yes, and if we're looking at, we're not gonna go into aspects today, we did have recently
Mhm.
our two-part aspects
Yeah,
episodes, but looking at what's contacting the moon can give you a bigger
yeah,
more complete story of what kinds of dynamics you might have. I mean, you know what dynamics you've encountered in childhood, but it will
yeah,
help, like, kind of look at it through the lens of the archetypes, right? So if you maybe have a Moon-Saturn contact, maybe that would have been a little bit maybe more
yeah,
challenging or felt like you had to kinda grow up a little faster, if you have a moon Jupiter, maybe you felt more supported. This is, of course, very generic, and it's not
mhm,
necessarily the case, but just kind of ways to think about
yeah,
it. And I'm just curious, did you wanna are there some things that you can think of, like, with the moon in Leo that you can think back, I can
mhm,
see, like, even though you said your mom is Sag moon, right?
yeah,
Is that
yeah, yeah,
but you do you see her kind of also through that
yeah.
Leo moon quality, how
Oh, yeah.
you a little bit?
I have a very I'm, again, very grateful to have a positive relationship with my mom. I've always felt
Same, yeah.
right? Yeah, I got the I she does give me that the validation I need, and, like, the cheerleader that the Leo like, the support of the Leo endeavors feels very highlighted. My mom did not have a great relationship with her mom, and so she's got the moon in Sag. We don't know what my grandmother we don't call her grandmother, we call it something else in Estonian, Von Emma,
I
had,
get
right? Yeah,
it.
but And I think my mom be yeah, she'll be okay. She's a therapist, she's okay. Um, but there's something about my Vanema taking up so much space and, like, big, big stories, grandiose things, and my mom's freedom not always feeling very, like, available to her, and so I thought that was an interesting shadow of the moon in Sag, and so my
Yeah,
mama's moon in Sag, but I could see Vanema also being my mom seeing her through those filters,
that's so
right?
interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and kinda, like, sometimes the shadow stuff of the Sag of going up in the soapbox and whatnot, like, some of that stuff was very present.
Was
Um,
present, yeah.
yeah, and it is interesting, like, siblings will have very can have very different experiences of their moms, whoever it was, and the sign kinda helps that, like, I think, my sister, she has a moon in Virgo. She's the older kid. I'm getting really vulnerable here, so I think maybe feeling more critique,
Yeah,
or
no,
whatnot. Mhm.
I love that point that you brought up. That's so poignant, like, if you have siblings, right? That how we all experience the relationships within a household
Yeah.
differently. And so, for sure, my sister and I have a totally different I mean, I can't speak for everything she's thinking, but we are going to witness our parents and experience our parents from a different lens.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
like, for me, my moon in Aries, I know what I really feel with my mom, that she very much values independence, like, she's also
Yeah.
got a strong Aquarian stellium, so, like, that freedom and independence is so important, but she really wanted to instill that in us, and so that was a big thing, and, for her, it was like, "Y you and your sister are different people, that's really important to,
Yeah.
kind of like, there's parents that would dress up their kids the same or things like that, and
Yeah.
my mom was not about that, like, "You have your own room, you have your own room," so that was like there's some of that there, and also my mom and I have a very close relationship, but we can spar. We can be
Yeah.
not combative like, "Ah," like, but like,
Yeah.
well, as a teenager, yes, I was combative with everybody, so that's that was an out of control moon in Aries, but, like, we have a very fiery relationship
I love
dynamic,
that.
so I think, we can, like, spar it out and then it's done, so there's some of that, but
Yeah.
I really think the bigger piece is the independence piece because that was
Yeah.
something that was really, like, instilled in me from a young
Yeah.
age.
Mhm. I know, it's fascinating, right? Like, how deep the moon gets,
Yes,
how deep it gets, and,
how
like,
deep it gets, yes.
not just you, but also these other figures in your life, the environment of your childhood too. It's God, yeah.
So this is something so for those of you listening to start thinking about, some of you may already be a little bit familiar or a lot familiar with your moon, but just to
Mhm.
keep unpacking and exploring, and it's just a start. I'm sure one day we'll revisit it more in
Oh,
detail
sure.
or more maybe different approach, but yeah, let's roll the dice and just do a
Do it.
couple fun placements and yeah.
Okay. Alrighty, we're gonna roll the dice. Not gonna roll the planet die. Dice? Die? Okay. Shoop. Gemini.
Gemini. All right. Moon in Gemini.
Okay. So we could start with the air element because it'd be nice to touch on the I know, I feel so giggly today,
I
Simona.
know we just rolled Gemini. How can
Um,
we not be a little,
I know
little,
that
little
well, is that
giggly?
too? Oh, I mean, it's true. We were talking about fire, now we're talking about Gemini air. I mean, hello. I so the air signs, I know the moon and the air signs, I'm always like, tell me more about yourselves. And I think maybe similar with the fire signs, there could be a need for space. I think it's in a different way. And maybe a needing for a needing. Okay, yeah.
Needy,
For
cool.
right, hello. For some logistical or rational, being able to kind of put your emotions, thoughts into words, like to verbalize that communication that feels very air element to me. How about you?
Yes, and definitely. I think to be able to talk, communicate, share information, there's like, and I think there's a real love, there's a curiosity, there's a
Yeah.
love of learning. There's this, like, I think sometimes the moon in Gemini needs to continually learn new things or take
Oh,
a
yeah.
class. And it's not necessarily always like go all the way in with it, but it's like, I want to learn this and now I'm curious about this and I want to do this and now I need to do this. And
Yeah.
there's, also a social aspect. I think there's a need to socialize often. I mean, every moon in Gemini, depending, is gonna be different. Like, my mom has the moon in Gemini. She's not someone that and
Yeah.
Aquarius, so you would think she'd be out there talking with everybody. She's not highly, like, social with everybody, but
Yeah.
she does, The Aquarius part does love to have these, like, conversations with like-minded people, but the moon in Gemini is in the 12th house. So for her, there's, like,
Oh, okay.
a deep sense of wanting to learn and say things correctly and have her knowledge be correct. That's so very important. I think the 12th house makes it her a little bit more introverted than the
Yeah,
typical, like, Gemini kinda archetype. But there's a real for her, it's like if she doesn't know a word, she wants to look it up. It's really important. It feeds that sense of security, like, to have that knowledge be correct. And
yeah,
it's really important to her. So everybody will be it will be different, but I think sometimes we think of Moon and Gemini kind of more on the fluffier side of things, but there can also be that kind of thinking of the moon's needs, like to have that knowledge feeds that sense of safety. Like the more I know, the better I feel, or the more I know about this topic, or whatever it is.
yeah,
It's just
yeah.
things that come
God,
to
I love that we rolled your mom's moon placement. How
oh,
fitting.
perfect, right?
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I was like, God, that really helps because there's some moon signs I'm not as familiar with. And I was also thinking, as you are Italian and she's bilingual, of course, as you are
Yeah.
as well. Yeah. And I
Yes, my
wonder
mom speaks no, sorry, go ahead.
oh no,
Yeah.
no, go, please go.
You were gonna go with the languages,
Yeah,
multiple
yeah.
languages. Yes, in fact, well, she speaks, Italian and French and English, but she's, I
Hey.
believe okay, are you learning Spanish now, mom? I think it's Spanish, but she's, like, been on this language app and she's, like, obsessed with, and she's, like, wants to
God.
get not a she's, like, really on it, like, when she's on it, and so she loves it. She loves this language app, and so, like,
I
languages,
was curious.
yes, great point.
Okay, because sometimes Gemini placements, we do see, like, language stuff, and especially for the moon, and as you were saying, like, nurturing that knowledge, nurturing the curiosity for the Gemini moon, I can
Yes.
imagine how much, yeah, security, safety that brings, or I've also heard, the moon in Gemini maybe, loving to play games or puzzles or Sudoku, crosswords, anything where the chess, even where your
Stimulating
mind
the
is
mind.
work stimulate the
Yes.
mind, yeah, and yeah, and the Mercury, because Mercury rules Gemini, of course, and I think that was the 3rd point. That was the 3rd point. God damn it. Now I remember, when you beautifully wrote a thesis paper on your moon and Aries. Um, the 3rd point was you brought up the ruler, and that's such an important piece too, just to factor in the ruler of the moon, because you brought in Mars and, and talking about the sun with the Leo, Mercury here for Gemini. Um, and then, oh, my mind is alive right now.
It's the
For Gemini.
Gemini, yeah.
Yes,
Yes. Maybe a little
and
bit the Uranus in Gemini got act
oh,
is like
hey, you're honest, Gemini, we're here, hello. Well, just thinking about the similarities between Moon and Mercury, they're like the great travelers, I feel,
yeah,
they're always there, and, like, our mind and our emotions and just the associations there. Okay, Moon and Gemini, I feel like I have a much better understanding already of that.
that
It's
one was a
awesome.
fun one. I like
I like
that.
that,
Moon and
yeah,
Gemini. Okay,
and
cool.
I like that we were able to be like, it's not just always that Moon Gemini, "Oh, you must be a chatterbox," like, okay,
Right.
you know?
It's not always so simple like that at all. Like, there's some things we can think about, but it's all gonna be colored by where it is in your
Yeah,
chart, what's aspecting it,
yeah.
yada, 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 yada.
Yada, yada. I like words, communication, language, maybe listening to other people speak, like, there's also that Gemini part, the receiving, the listening, the
The listening
absorbing the info, yeah. Oh,
and
and I think
yeah, and sharing it. Yeah, and sharing it with other people, yeah.
and I wonder if Moon and Aquarius too also, maybe Libra, but definitely Aquarius, like, yeah, liking to know, like, being curious about things too. I think Aquarius may be more like knowing why, what makes people tick, and, like, but
Yeah,
that's
I
interesting
think,
there.
another word that comes to mind since you brought up another air sign, moon, is objectivity, and I
Oh, yeah.
think the moon, Gemini, while the moon is not necessarily an objective planet, there can be an
Yeah.
objective approach to things, and the Aquarius, I think there can be a bit with there an emotional response comes up, there can be an ability to detach and pull
Yeah,
back and maybe
absolutely.
observe one's emotions, which can be really, on one hand, really helpful to be
Yeah,
able to witness your emotions and think of
yeah,
them in a rational way, but it can become challenging if you're never feeling them, right? So those are things,
yeah.
your moon placement can also speak to that, but I'm going off. Okay, let's roll let's
That's
roll
beautiful.
another one. Let's roll should
Oh
we
my
do another
god.
planet in a sign?
Well, I rolled 1 for us, that's Earth.
Okay, cool.
Who do you think I rolled?
Did you roll your new crush? Moon in
No?
Capricorn? No, okay.
Oh, I did. Yes, I
Do
love
you have a crush?
Capricorn.
crush
I
on
have
Capricorn now,
I
right?
have a crush on Capricorn, the energy of Capricorn. You have such a good
Yes.
memory. I was like, "Yes." I did. I'm blushing. I know you're like, "Oh, your Capricorn is my Virgo."
Exactly. No, but, I'm starting to appreciate there's aspects of Capricorn I am very much starting
Yes,
to appreciate more.
yes,
I mean, I appreciate the Capricorns in my life, but within my own
total yeah.
relationship to it. Yeah.
And I like we are humans, and so, of course and I like that we're always vulnerable about the energies we struggle with, and that we have crushes on, and mine's Capricorn. Um Although we don't practice traditional astrology or Hellenistic astrology, this would be in its detriment, right? Which I know I took a very Saturnian approach by saying what it is, it's in its detriment, which sounds very like rough and there's actually a lot of like great work when it comes to the detriments and exaltations, all those significators of the planets. It's just not something I'm an expert in, so I don't want to speak too much to it, but I actually think there is interesting information, but I don't always like to just lead there, so I often don't. So that's just my little piece there.
I love it. No, I'm the
Yeah.
same. I'm the
Yeah.
same.
Um, okay, so Earth moons. We haven't talked about Earth moons. I'm wondering about the need for structure. I'm wondering about the need for yeah, tactile, down to earth, grounded reality. That feels different than like a fire moon might need. What do you think?
Yes, it's definitely more of a grounded kind of approach to life. And
Yeah.
let's say we think of an emotional response. What might the emotional response of a moon in
Mm,
Capricorn be? Like something comes up. Okay, well, let's look at this. Let's take one step at a time.
yeah.
How can we approach this?
Yeah.
What is actionable here? Can be a very practical approach to the things that arise. And I think that, brought up the word, like neither of us love to use the word fall, detriment, and all of
Right.
that, but it is ruled by Saturn. So
Yeah.
it might be not, there might be some challenges sometimes or less warm and fuzzy kind of
Yeah.
approach to nurturing
Yeah.
growing up, but there could be a really great relationship with nurturing, but just nurturing might have been approached differently, more of like I love you, so I love you. I'm gonna give you kind of how life is so that when you grow up, you can kind of
Yeah.
be able to have agency and take care of yourself because if you don't know what the things are, the rules of life, you're gonna have if I coddle you too much and you grow out into the world, you're not gonna be able to take care of yourself. So it can just be coming maybe from a little bit of a different approach.
Mm,
And there's again, it's a cardinal sign, so there's an initiative with
yeah.
might be a desire
There you go.
to start things and get things going, build things, build whether that's build a career, build a family, build a
Ah,
relationship. There's that kind of builder archetype there with Capricorn.
well, beautiful work.
I
Okay.
don't know about that, but like
Yes.
just kind of
Yes. Well, yeah, there is the constructor kind of, the manifestor, and I'm talking about, like, actual like, when you're, like, manifesting something, not, like, manifest, a tangible manifestation working, like, what comes into my mind because I have a crush on it, is like okay, just bear with me here.
I love
Thank
it.
you.
Mhm.
Aiden from Sex and the City, hello,
Yes.
feels like
Yes.
right, feels chorusy, but I could also I mean, he's very emotionally available, so maybe he's really worked with this Capricorn moon. But, like, he's a builder of furniture, that's called something that I'm forgetting the word of, and I just think that's so hot. Working with, like, wood and I should get a date soon, I know. And so he's building things, and I just, like that feels Taurian too, but it also feels Capricornian and, like, building something, as you said, for security, for structure, building something that's gonna stand the test of time, could um, and I think what I've heard too is, like and I this could also, I think, definitely apply for Virgo moons, feeling like they are useful, feeling like they're practically giving something and hopefully maybe being nourished for that, but they definitely seem like that energy that you can call on to help, and that could feel, like, good for them too.
I love that, and that made me think of how cardinal signs want to make an
Yeah.
impact in a way, and the moon in Capricorn is like, where do I belong, and what is my impact on
Yeah.
the world? Like, am I contributing
Yes.
am I making a contribution of some kind, and do I belong in society? There's kind of that sense mixing the moon's need for belonging to the world at large, there's
Yeah.
that kind of I think that's a theme for oftentimes for people with moon in Capricorn, and I also think of maybe a need to have rules, like, whereas I am not
Yeah.
I love having parameters, I don't love rules. It's a little bit different. Not a fan of rules, like strict rules, but I
I
think
like
the Moon
having
and Capricorn
parameters.
really appreciate and need those rules. Like, "Wait, okay, this is important to have those rules." So that could be another thing that arises.
That's so funny. It says the moon in Aries.
That's
Um,
the yeah, exactly, and Mars, Uranus, and me, I'm like, "Rules? I mean, yeah,
hey,
they're good. They're good. I can see the need for them.
I
Don't
like some
love them.
ethical guidelines, but,
Well, definitely ethical guidelines. I want to be able to yeah.
well, and, as you were saying that too, like, with the work hard part of the Capricorn, there is the work hard, play hard, and,
Yes.
it is associated with Pan and, like, here again, I'm just
Yes.
crushing on Capricorn, so there's I think maybe when I'm curious to see a moon in Capricorn when it's maybe not feeling so nourished or having a healthy outlet for structure. Does it go to like, how does that come out, emotionally, you know what I mean?
When it does not have a healthy, you said?
Like, structure or, like,
Yeah, how does that
outlet,
come out?
it's
Exactly.
gonna
I would
go
imagine it would be very destabilizing not to have that kind of thing and how to bring oneself back into to
yeah.
stability, sense of security.
I don't know, just, like, playing so hard, partying so hard, because there is an interesting, other side of Capricorn that does like, I think that we see that sometimes too, and
Yeah,
it's right?
absolutely. They're known to have a great sense oftentimes a great sense of humor because there's that timing, right? That timing
Yes,
factor, and Saturn rules
yeah,
Capricorn and time, so there's gonna be that, it just might be a
something.
d yes, I think it's so easy to think Capricorn, serious, blah, 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 blah. It's not always like that at
No, no,
all,
no.
but there is an earthiness to that
Yes.
lunar need.
Ooh, earthiness to that lunar need sounds like a lyric. We're silly today, I love it. Okay, shall we do another one and hope it's a water sign?
Let's roll one more, and then we can do one in a house, and then we can yeah, just to
Yeah,
give an example, and we can wrap it up, yeah.
I did roll a water sign, I'm truthfully
Which
telling you, it's
I love
Pisces.
that. Moon in Pisces, oh, that's a great.
Okay, okay, okay. Ooh,
About
Moon
fluidity.
Pisces. Yes. Mutable, fluidity, this is water. So the water moons we haven't talked too much about, and I feel like they have an interesting little kinship with the moon. Of course, moon ruling Cancer and the tides, the ocean. This is the water signs are the emotional realm. So I can see with all the water signs a need for some kind of emotional safety, security, connection, or the capacity to be able to like feel it, speak to it, connect with it, like, somehow that being present and really needed in the emotional part.
Yes, yes, beautiful. And I think that when we think of the moon and how it feels into things, there's I think an extreme sensitivity Pisces and a
Yeah,
permeability. So I often think of all the Pisces placements, the moon in Pisces is probably especially sensitive to other people's feelings, empathic, and so there might be a challenge with separating one's feelings from someone else's feelings, knowing whose or what, and it can get inundated and overwhelmed sometimes with all of because there's an ability to pick up on these subtleties with Pisces that other
yeah,
signs may not as much. And so I think to feel safe, there might be, while not to shut out that empathetic nature, because that's very much, I think, important to the moon in Pisces to be able to have ways to boundary oneself. So,
yeah,
because I think that there's that duality there where too much of that could really maybe not be so great for the moon in Pisces. So, finding a way to be able to feel
absolutely.
into things and tap into that empathy, but also have boundaries. And yeah, there's a need for movement.
Oh,
You
yeah,
just you gotta have that ability to flow with the moon in Pisces,
absolutely.
have that outlet.
Mhm, and, I always wanna be mindful of the moon in Pisces because I got this note once from an instructor, as you know, that I want too positive with the moon in Pisces, and I didn't talk about the escapism slash addictive, part, which, hey, that could be with anybody. Yes, it can get highlighted in the moon in Pisces. Um, so, that is something to look out for. But no, I don't even like saying that. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe I'm being too Pollyanna. I think really at the essence of it is what you're speaking to. It's just because it can be so porous and so beautifully open and accepting and understanding of paradox and complexity and mysteries and accepting that and accepting
Yes.
but everybody, right? Um, that those outlets, just being mindful of, like, where are my escapism outlets going to and has it, like, crossed the
Yes,
line somehow? Because I think the Pisces lunar, it does need to be and it needs somewhere to put its outlets. Escapism is
absolutely,
inherently bad, right? And I feel
absolutely.
yeah, like and so it's, knowing that, and I'm sure Pisces people are like, "Yeah, I know, I'm aware," and, I just wanna be careful that it doesn't always get oh, what's the word I'm looking for? That label, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but also at the same time, not ignoring the potential for it. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I love that you I think that's such an important point to bring up because it does need an outlet, and also escapism is not always bad. It's
yeah,
how long and how often are you
yeah,
doing it? We watch TV, we escape.
yeah, we do.
Anything we do that's fun like that, like
Yeah,
a little escapism, sometimes escapism is necessary from time to time. Like it's
yeah.
not a bad word on its own. It's when that is a coping mechanism and the only thing you do all the time to avoid life, then it becomes problematic. And if we could imagine if the moon in Pisces is square to Jupiter, for
Oh, yeah.
example, or something in a tense relationship, maybe overdoing the escapism could
Mhm.
come into play. Even though Jupiter is considered so positive, well, it might not be always. So
Well,
depending on how you're, it doesn't mean that if you have a Jupiter square moon in Pisces, you're going to have
exactly.
an issue with alcoholism or anything like. But
Right.
it just so the tendency that might be
Yeah.
something to work with to look for more. If you have that. So
Well, and I mean, the fact that you picked square Jupiter, like, and we're using traditional ruler of Jupiter ruling Pisces, and then
yes,
the modern ruler, co-ruler of Neptune, and these are planets that they can go over the top and excess, and they're like, psh,
yeah,
so just it's like, how are you going to choose how to work with that? It
right.
is up to you at the end of the day how it's our responsibility to work with our own psyche. And I'm fascinated with the moon in Pisces too. I had one, I was gonna say client, but she wasn't because it was at school where we did intern, not in, practicum. Oh my God.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. And she shared with me and she was like, oh, she's like, I like to lay down and like fantasize different worlds. And I was like, oh, I'd like, and I was like, so that is a thing sometimes, you know?
Yeah, that's so on point. Yes, that that need to, like, let your mind go into the
Yeah.
imaginal realm and imagine and be in story and in all those kinds of things. Yes, there's
Yeah.
that need for sure. Some
Right?
people might paint, some people might dance, but there's that kind of, like,
Yeah.
expression or pouring it into those deep feelings into something.
Exactly. And just one point that kind of popped into my brain is I'm curious for Moon and Pisces folks if this would resonate at all because of the mutability and it is Pisces and the Neptune and Jupiter of it all. Um and the ability to kind of take on how am I saying this? Like take on not different personalities. That's not what I'm saying, but like different like for example, Pisces can be a great placement for actors. You know,
Yes.
they can morph
Yes.
into who you need them to be at times. So that ability to kind of feel into these different aspects of people and experiences, I'm curious about
And
that, if that makes sense.
shape shift into it, yeah, like,
Yeah,
an actor can really the moon in
right?
Pisces would be great for
Yeah,
that, but it is great for actors and those people that are needing to, like,
beautiful.
embody those energetics and kind of feel in and become it,
Yes.
wear that, you know?
Well, and then I'm just also the other thing that like cropped up there was the high mutability here, so, like, are there many outlets? Like, are there as you were
Yes,
saying, like, I was like, "Does this, person" and I know, like, we always go for the arts with Pisces, it doesn't really have to be the arts, it's just a really great avenue for Pisces. So, like, dancing and painting and writing and poetry or this exercise, whatever it is, like, are they someone who needs lots of different things as well? I'm curious.
great point because it is a mutable sign, and I think,
Yeah,
I like that you mentioned that we always mention that we always bring up the arts, but,
yeah.
there's also that kind of being tapped into the collective sometimes, so we can think of, like,
Mm.
people who do market research or people who
Oh,
are
yeah.
in tune with, like, the trends or
Mhm.
things like that. That could be a field if it's in the 10th house in Pisces, for example, if we think
Influencers.
of the career they might be involved with.
Yeah.
Those are some other ways they might tap into that moon in Pisces,
Ugh.
or visual arts as well, but that's still the arts, but, like,
Right.
photography, you know? Those are, like but I think photography is a really, great medium for
Yeah,
Pisces, the imagery. But
yeah.
anyways, we could go on
I know,
and
we
on.
Pisced it, we Pisced it. Oh, no,
Keep Pisces it. Did you
they
wanna
took us
do one
away.
last roll
I
quickly
do like it,
in a
like
house
I do.
just to have a different flavor, and then we will wrap up the episode?
Yeah, I would love to do that.
Okay, we'll do that.
Okay. Alrighty. Oh, no, we already talked about the 11th with me, so
Let's
that's
do
okay.
another one.
Um, 3rd.
The 2nd. Oh, the 3rd. I was gonna get
Oh, oh, yeah, guess.
Yes. The 3rd. Okay,
The 3rd.
perfect. Moving into 3rd.
Ooh, well, all of course, I'm sure you thought of this too, writing, communications, movements of some kind. Maybe this moon is fed by its community, like its neighborhood, because the 3rd
Yes.
house, yeah, points to, like, local environments, your neighborhood. I could see it also, more regular rituals, so, like, full moon rituals, like, versus, like, big ceremonial longer journeys.
Yeah, like everyday kind of yeah, kind of rituals. And I love that you said the neighborhood. And something came into my mind and it just went away. This keeps happening today. There might be also a relationship. We can think of a relationship with siblings because the
Yeah,
third house has to do with siblings. So there might be a story there. Oh, I was thinking, let's say this could be the person that I don't feel so great. I'm bummed out. Let's go on a road trip. you know, let's go on a
yeah.
road trip. Let's go explore a little bit our local, like close by, take the
Oh my
car and
god,
go or
I love
something
that.
like that.
Yes, because yeah, there's like a a curiosity, adventure-seeking vibe to the 3rd house, but in a more, localized, like, way, like,
Yeah.
when I drive to the beach, and I'm really lucky in Oregon to be so close, but that's only like a maybe 2-hour drive,
Yeah, like, we
you
have a
know?
lot of places close to here in California, like, I'm in Los
Yeah.
Angeles, like, there's Palm Springs and Joshua Tree and Santa Barbara, all these places,
Yeah,
and I could imagine, like, the moon and the third being, like, that's a way to nurture oneself, like, it's just
yeah,
kinda like,
yeah,
Let's go do this, let's go do this." But yes, you
yeah.
learning and taking a course or whatever it is, "Hey, maybe I'll take a cooking class today," or, "Maybe I'll go do this,"
Good.
these are some things that could come up.
Podcasting.
Podcasting, yes.
Any
Yes.
communications, yeah, yeah. Oh, that was fun, I like that.
Yeah, that was fun. It's just a little taste.
Yeah,
Again, for those that are listening, just to look at your chart and, depending on what level you're at with astrology, but to really just hone in on the moon and just
yeah,
contemplate it. I mean, I think it's really fun to just sometimes take up just one planet and just contemplate it over a
yeah,
period of time that like we got to do at school. Like, we got to have like a whole course. We'd have like a month or over a month
mhm,
immersed in it. So just see what arises. And when you're kind of in a place where you're not feeling well, think about, "Oh, this is my moon. My moon's talking to me. What is it saying? What am I needing?"
exactly. All of that.
All of
All
that.
of that. I was like, "Yes, and today I'm going to feed my moon. I wanna just do lunar things." So, yes, and I think
What are you gonna go do? You were just saying in general.
no, I'm going to.
What are
Selfishly,
you
I'm
gonna go
going
do?
to.
Because I literally, when I get off of this podcast, I'm
Work
gonna go
out.
do my workout.
Yeah.
I go work out.
I'm not doing that. I love that. Um,
That's
I know I'm gonna eat, and I'm gonna do the
well, I'm gonna
opposite.
do that too, but I'll, like, shove it down really quickly because that's
Right.
moon and Aries.
Yes. I'll probably, I'm like, what shall I eat and make?" And then I think I wanna, like, get lost in a TV show tonight and just, other things too that help. And also, I'm really glad that we started off the episode this way and we'll end this way too, because I've decided. It's just, remembering the magic of the moon and, like, that really resonated today. Just as you said, the familiarity of the moon and always there, and it always come back.
Right there. That's a beautiful way to end it. Remember the magic of the moon, and
Yeah,
it's right here for us.
yeah,
So, well, I feel very nurtured by this
you. I love
experience.
you.
I definitely feel better than I did at the beginning of the day. So, thank you,
Love the
Kaya. That's
same.
I say this to you every time, but it really is the truth. And
Yeah,
this was wonderful. Thank you for this. I always have such a wonderful time with you, and I'm really glad that we got a chance to explore the moon together. And
you.
I am looking forward to our next chat.
I know, I feel nurtured, I feel nourished, I feel like, "Oh, okay, I'm back, I'm centered and grounded again." So thank you for holding that space and getting lunar. And being silly too, that was good. And
I
yeah,
like silly. I
I
like
know,
silly.
right? We have some fun episodes, I think, that are already coming out. We have an aspects one coming up, which is exciting. That's the beginning of a series. This is the continuation of our planet series. So next up will be Mercury. I really had to think about that one.
I agree, yes, our next planet episode, we may have a couple things in
Yeah.
between, but our next planet episode will be Mercury, so stay tuned for that, and yes, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap up and, to the next time.
To the next time. Stay cosmic.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Kaya.
Love you.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.